Aloha. This is Emily Thoreau Threat with Reclaiming Your Joy After Loss, and I'm back again with Nicole Saxon, the chaplain at Maui Memorial Hospital. And we're going to talk today about the celebration of life that she did with one of her patients and how that worked out. So, you want to go ahead and tell us what exactly happened when you, or how'd you plan it, and what was the execution of it? How did it work?
So, when we were going about doing the planning, I wanted to make sure that this was something that was in line with what my patient wanted. So I gave him examples of different ways that people have designed it. Um, and he decided that the largest point of the service, or the focus of the service that he wanted, was for people to come and say those things that I feel like he had been yearning to hear, those kind words about him. And so it was really simple. He wanted me to do an opening prayer, and then he wanted a song that I believe it was called Dancing in the Sky. And part of the lyrics go like, I wonder what it's like in heaven. But it was a song that, in the video, there are a lot of people who have pictures of loved ones who have died. And so it's kind of dedicated to their memory. And so over the last few weeks of his life, he had fallen in love with that song and wanted it played there. So yeah, he wanted that, and then he wanted people to come up and talk to him. So I also asked him if he wanted like a color theme or anything like that, and he was a Cowboys fan. I'm from DC, so we would always like argue about that. But he wanted blue. He wanted his theme color to be blue. And he actually, when I asked him about what color he wanted, he remembered that his grandfather had actually done something similar, where when he was dying, he took everybody out to dinner and was just giving like his last pieces of wisdom, and everybody was kind of sharing their thoughts with him around the dinner table. And his theme color had been green. So he remembered that, and he was like, yeah, my granddad's theme color was green. I want mine to be blue. And so when the day came, so at that point, he was able to speak and communicate very well, but he declined rapidly. So on the day that we had the service, he was struggling to breathe a lot. But one of the things that he kept saying all day, his mother was telling me, he kept asking, like, is it time for the service yet? Is it time for it? So we came in maybe 3 hours earlier, me and the palliative care nurse at the hospital, and we just decorated the room in blue. We have blue streamers. I made a sign with his name on it, and was having people sign it in blue. And the manager of the floor, she brought blue curtains and blue tape to help us like set everything up. So it was really special, and people started coming early. Actually, some of the nurses and techs in the hospital came and was just singing to him while we were decorating.
Oh, cool!
Yeah, it was really special. Another thing that was big for him in his life was food. So I asked him, like, what kind of foods would you want when we were planning? And he was like, because he was like, this is a free thing. You guys are doing this for free? Like, he was like, I mean, I guess chips and dip. And I was like, well, you can have other things. Like, if you want pizza. And he was like, yeah, I want a pizza. I was going to say that, but yeah, like, spring pizza. So we had that, and he had a special kind of juice that he wanted there. But then his mom, she wanted so much to be a part of it too. So she said, you guys are gonna get the pizza and everything, but we're gonna bring food. Like, so there was all of this food that on the day that they brought that, was beyond our wildest imagination, because so many people came. So we had 2 boxes of pizza, and the family brought all this food. And they were just so happy to be contributing.
Yeah, that's important.
To it, yeah. And I hadn't thought of that part. I was like, no, we'll take care of everything. You guys just sit back.
Yeah.
But what was meaningful for them was to contribute to it. So yeah, the time came, and I did the opening prayer, and we played the song, and then invited people to come up to the bedside and speak to him. And people were kind of like shy about it starting off, and so we played music. Somebody had I think one of his cousins had a ukulele, and just started playing songs, and everybody started singing, and
cool.
and that brought like people out. His brother was FaceTiming from California. There was another family member in Seattle FaceTiming. Somebody was in Virginia FaceTiming. So like different people had like the phones out, and then people started speaking and saying their goodbyes to him. So while that was going on in the room, outside in the waiting area was all the food. And so people would go back and forth between the room and the waiting area, and there were tons of people that came. There were like 4 generations of his family that was present on that day. And in addition to that, this patient had been moved all around the hospital. And so he had had the opportunity to interact with a lot of different staff, medical staff. And all of them were coming as well. And it was magnificent, really. There were, the hatchet was buried for some people. I made it very clear at the start as well, like what this was and what it wasn't. So I wanted people to know that, this isn't a roast. This isn't the time to air your grievances. This is the time to, appreciate and celebrate this patient, his life, what he's meant to you, and to say all of these things to him now. So I wanted to lay those ground rules, because a lot of people like living funeral, celebration of life, like what is that? So it went really smoothly. I was going back and forth between the room and the area where we had the food, and people were steadily coming and paying their respects, and it was a really meaningful time.
That is so beautiful. As you were talking, it reminded me of a play that I was in once. I used to do a lot of acting in addition to directing, and I was in a play called The Rainmaker. And one of the lines in the play was to make hay while the sun's still shining. And that's kind of the way that Ron and I practice with living in the moment. And so you get, because all you've got is the present moment. And when you can focus on that and focus on that joy, then every moment can be special. And you made such a wonderful, special end for his life. That was just perfect. So I'm sure that the family appreciated it. I'm sure he appreciated it. And I'm sure it was a wonderful thing for you too.
Yeah, it was. His mother was so excited about it. By that point, he was struggling to talk. But he indicated how he was feeling with his eyes. He was like kind of speaking with his eyes. Every now and then, they would remove the BiPAP for short periods of time, and he would say things because it was kind of harder to understand him with the BiPAP on. But he was pleased, and he voiced his pleasure. His mom was pleased too, and she kept saying, like, hospital has never done this for anybody. Like, you're the first. And she was really happy. Some family members were saying, you know, like, welcome to the family. It was just a really meaningful and special time, I think, for us all.
That's wonderful. Well, I encourage you all to think about this and think about celebrating your life right now. Don't wait. Enjoy the time that you have right now while you have it. So I appreciate you listening to us, and I'd be delighted to hear from you. And we'll have more to come on different topics. So be sure to check back. Again, this is Emily Thoreau Threat at Reclaiming Your Joy After Loss, and thank you for coming.